good day, and thank you for joining me today on The Charge. I'm so glad that you're here with me today to listen to what I have to share with you. And by the way, how are you? Trust that you're fine. Hope you're good. Hope you're finding the passion to live through and through. All right, I believe it's going to be okay. So today, I want us to talk about the subject of wisdom. I call it engaging wisdom. And a good place to start is a reference from the good book. I call it the Holy Book. They call it the Holy Book, the Bible. It's from the book of Proverbs, written by the popular King Solomon. I believe that you know the popular King Solomon. And there was something he said in this particular reference. It's Proverbs 4:7. And it's just interesting to find this discovery here. It says here, wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have, get understanding. I'll take that again. Wisdom is supreme, or we can say wisdom is the principal thing, or wisdom is the highest thing. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it cost you all you have, get understanding. So this means that you may have this, you may have that, you may have wealth, you may think you may have chest, you may have broad chest, you may have a beautiful face, you may have a fine body, but guess what? If you don't have wisdom, you have nothing. Why? Because we understand here that wisdom is supreme. Wisdom is the principal thing. And everything that it will take you, get understanding. And for a minute, we're going to get to the place where we actually need wisdom. But the first thing we need to understand, the first thing that needs to be established is that wisdom is the principal thing. So it's not about having a fine face. It's not about having a fine body. It's not about having a broad chest. It's not about having the best of the best things. It's about having wisdom, because wisdom is the principal thing. And at everything that it will take you, get understanding. So let's go back. Why the concept of wisdom itself, right? Where did the word come from? According to descriptions and research, the etymology of the word wisdom itself is from a Proto-Germanic root word, which means to see, to know. In some places is wisdomas. Wisdomas. I wish I had the right intonation to pronounce that, but as far as I can pronounce is wisdomas. Wisa to mean to see, perceive, to know. Then domas means the ability to make good judgments. And I'm so loving the correlation between all of these. We see wizard to see, perceive, know. Then domas, ability to make a good judgment. Okay, so now when we look at the broad definition of wisdom, most of the time the general one is the application of knowledge. Application of knowledge. But I prefer this definition. I love this definition that I saw. It says it is the ability to discern and apply universal principles and values that foster personal growth and well-being. My goodness. Ability to discern, apply universal principles and values that foster personal growth and well-being. So it can mean application of knowledge, quality of experience, and good judgment. Ability to discern and apply universal principles and values that foster personal growth. So in all of these things, we can see correlation between certain words. We are seeing application. We are seeing knowledge. Knowledge can also mean experience, right? We are seeing knowledge. We are seeing experience. We are seeing application. We are seeing judgment. We are seeing discernment. We are seeing principles that foster personal growth and well-being. We are also seeing insight. We are seeing good or sound judgment. Like I said, experience or knowledge. You can see how all of these things tie together. So which means that a good place to start with wisdom is knowledge. And then we're seeing application. Knowledge in terms of experience that has been garnered either by studying, by learning, or just by opening up our mind to experience new things and principles that will help our life grow. Now, it also combines general knowledge of facts about reality. So for example, let me use something more epic. An army is to go to a war, to the war front. An army, they're set to go to the war front. The wise thing to do will be for the commander to have an insight to the terrain where the battle will first be fought. This is what we're seeing: insight, we're seeing knowledge, we're seeing experience. Can you see all of these ties together? The commander must have a deep understanding, must have insight, must have knowledge, experience about the terrain in which the war is taking place. And to take it a step further, the commander must also have a knowledge about the fighting style of the opponent. And then when it's time for battle, with that knowledge that has been garnered, they begin to apply it to their advantage. And that's why I love the definition that says ability to apply universal principles and values that foster growth and well-being. So we're seeing that it combines with general knowledge of the facts about reality with the more specific and the immediate discernment or insight or intuition into the less perceptible but crucial dynamics of the situation. Which means that when the army gets to the war front, having understanding of the terrain and having the knowledge of the fighting style of the opponent, there's a need to set up with the dynamics, because things can happen at the war front. This can happen with the war front, and that's what this thing is explaining here. And then we're seeing the necessary resolve to act on that knowledge and insight, and that's where the application comes into play. We're seeing application. Resolve can also mean application. Have the resolve that there's that thing inside of me that I'm sure that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Resolve. And that's how wisdom works. Insight, understanding, application of this insight. So someone can say, I have understanding. But you see, like the popular Bishop Oyedepo said, he said, the knowledge that can't change you is useless. The knowledge that can't change you, or that can't give you something new, or that can't make you better is useless. So that means that it's not just about having knowledge. It's not just about knowing. It's about the application of knowledge. But first of all, there's got to be a level of insight. There's got to be a level of understanding. There's got to be a level of sound judgment. I love the part where he said sound judgment. I see a wise man, and you can tell that they make good judgment. And you can tell that they have sound judgment. So if you are in a position where you feel that you just need to step up to a place where you feel like you've been making judgment that are not right. Now, sound judgment will mean that you are seeing the future. You anticipate what's about to happen for the future. You have an idea of the bigger picture. There's something that you need to see that is bigger than the immediate situation. And another thing that I'd like to clarify at this point is that being wise is not the same as cunning. Yes, it requires intelligence to be wise and cunning. But you see, cunning will mean that you are deceptive. You are using deception to get out of a situation or to handle a situation. But wisdom has enough empathy. Wisdom is looking at something that satisfies most subjects. Wisdom is making sound judgments, being able to discern and make sound judgments and apply principles that ensures that the situation is handled on a broader perspective, on a perspective that is broad. In fact, a part of it is perspective. A part of wisdom is having perspective. But when you say someone is cunning, is that they are tricky, they are deceptive, they are mostly manipulative. But wisdom is not manipulative. And the reason why I'm saying this is because so many times in our society, especially some parts of the Nigerian society, when someone does something cunning, when someone is a con man, and they'll say the person is wise. No, that person is not wise. That person is cunning. That's deception. That's manipulation. But that's not what wisdom is. Wisdom is that I can make sound judgments based on certain universal principles, based on a certain level of insight that helps me and everyone around me. In fact, another thing that is associated with wisdom is empathy. Identifying the needs of others and meeting and using that level of wisdom and applying that level of wisdom knowledge and understanding and insight and discernment to make the best of good judgment that settles everything for almost everyone and that sees the bigger picture. So then, why wisdom? Why wisdom? Why wisdom? And I'd like to look at it from this angle. And just before I get into the concept of why wisdom, you see, every phase of your life requires a different level of wisdom. For example, you are currently broke. You observe that you are constantly broke. Trust me, there's a wisdom for financial abundance. And one good example is also from a reference from the book of Proverbs of the Holy Book, which King Solomon wrote. And he was talking about the ants and was associating ants and wealth and gathering. It's so interesting. And he said, look to the ants. They have no ruler. They have no commander. Yet they store up food in the summer and gather gather their harvest much later, right? And was given principle. And there's also a part where he said, there's also a part from a reference of the Bible also. I'm sorry, I'm using the Bible. That's all I know. That's one of the references that I feel most comfortable with, and I'm hoping that it will mean a lot to you, to mean something to you. There's a part where it says, there's a way someone will hold something, it tended unto poverty. There's a way someone will hold on to something and it tended to poverty. That's wisdom for prosperity. That's wisdom for abundance. So which means that if I seek abundance, I can't just hold. And don't forget also that they said the hand of the giver is always above. The hand of the giver is always above, which means that if I'm to experience financial prosperity, I must see myself to a place where I can give. Yes, I may not have money, but I can give value. I can grow in value by the level of wisdom that I have, grow in value and give value. We've seen different level of wisdom. If you want to grow in your career, there's a certain level of wisdom that has to be deployed. You want to grow in life, you want to see yourself to a place of personal growth. There's got to be a level of wisdom that must be developed and acquired. And let me also say this also, that wisdom that wisdom doesn't come in an OTP format. OTP, one-time payment, and that's it. No, wisdom has to be in an ever-increasing measure. Wisdom is not something that you say, I have wisdom now. Tomorrow, I just have wisdom. You say, I have wisdom today. Tomorrow, how can I build on this wisdom? The next tomorrow, how am I supposed to build on this wisdom? So wisdom has to grow in an ever-increasing measure. It's not just about saying that I have wisdom. It's consistent, persistent. It's got to be built over the years. Let me say this also, that wisdom is not about age. Wisdom is not a function of age. Oh my goodness. Wisdom is not a function of age. Why? Because we've seen people that are older in age by number that are not wise, and young minds that are wise. So which means that you can only be as wise as you desire to be. And I've seen people that have outgrown wisdom. You know when they say someone has outgrown wisdom, because you feel you have number of years on your age. Yes, the experience may be there that you've lived for as long as possible. But because you've lived for as long as possible still doesn't mean that you are wise. What will mean that you are wise is that the number of years you have, the experience that you've gotten, it is something that can be applied for better results, that can see to growth and development from you and to your community. Then we can say you are wise. But when you are just there, we see that your actions are causing problems for people. And of course, we know that you have number of years on your side. So we see that wisdom is not a function of age. There's also a reference in the Bible also where I've forgotten now, where it says, don't just think about the fact that wisdom is about age. Because we can see a young person that is deploying wisdom and see an old person that is deploying foolishness, because the opposite of wisdom is foolishness. So, which would you rather have? And trust me, there is nothing about sitting on the fence on this one. It's either you choose to be wise, or it's either you are foolish by default. It's the truth that must be said. It's either you choose to be wise or you are foolish by default. And I'm sure that you want to be wise. So like I said, it's not a function of age, but it's about how determined you are to see yourself to new levels of wisdom. And thankfully, I've done a whole lot by explaining the different components of wisdom: insight, discernment, judgment, application of knowledge or experience, critical thinking also. There's a popular quote about thinking that I like. I've forgotten who said it now. He said, some people don't think. Some people think that they are thinking but not thinking. Some people would rather not think at all. So that goes to show that there's a level of critical thinking that must be deployed into these things. So the question is actually, why wisdom? And we can go through a whole lot about that. And to learn about why wisdom is important, we can also see that from the fact that wisdom is the principal thing. As I've said earlier, from a reference I read from the Holy Book, that wisdom is the principal thing, and then therefore get wisdom, and at all costs, or though it may cost you much, get understanding. Why is wisdom important? And there's a whole lot to that, and I'm going to summarize that in a bit. But let's look at this. There's how you can get wisdom, that wisdom will watch over you. One of the things that wisdom will do for you is that it will protect you. That's what I'm saying. It will watch over you. It will protect you. Wisdom will protect you from several stupid things that is happening in the world today. And of course, we can all tell how the world and how the world is today. So when you have wisdom, wisdom will watch over you. It will protect you. When you esteem wisdom, wisdom will also honor you. Oh my, there's a way wisdom will honor you, will put honor to your name. So when we see a man that is honorable, it's because they are wise. We can see a level of wisdom deployed, and we can see that there's a way you are wise, that you are beautiful. It gets your life beautiful. And those are actually the offshoots. The reason is because it will help you to have sound judgments that will help you to make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, you will see that you are protected. Like I said earlier, when I read that earlier, what I was saying is that the result you get from making good decisions, it will help you to make sound judgments that will help you to make better decisions that will protect you, that will put honor to your name. Also, it will help you to be better productive. There's this thing they say, smart work over hard work. It's not really about hard or smart work. It's just about being wise about the work you do. Just be wise about the work you do. Deploy the best form of wisdom you can deploy in the place of work that you have. So we've seen that it helps you to get sound judgment that makes you have better wisdom. And above all, for me personally, is that as much as you don't want to remain small, I don't desire that anyone remains small. Where you are today is good, but it can be better. So if there's a new level of greatness that will be unlocked with your life or through your life, it means that a new level of wisdom has to be unlocked. And that for me is like the overall thing why anyone should get wisdom. Why? Because today is good, tomorrow should be better. And for tomorrow to be better, it means that I have to better. And to be better means that I have to unlock a new level of wisdom. I have to unlock new levels of wisdom so that I can see myself to become the best version of myself possible, where I can make sound judgments that help me make better decisions, that makes my life protected and everything around my life protected, and that gives me honor, that helps my life to become an honorable life. So how do you get wisdom? Oh my, the first thing is by desiring it. There's got to be a burning desire to be a wise person. There's got to be that desire to be wise. You've got to desire it. And that's why I like that reference, that at all costs, or though it may cost you several things, it may cost you everything, get understanding. Why? Because it is the principal thing, and you've got to desire it every day. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, how can I unlock a new level of wisdom over my career, over my job, over everything that I'm trying to do or trying to set my heart to achieve? How can I apply the best form of wisdom? How can I deploy or unlock new levels of wisdom? And the next thing is by association. Those who walk with the wise are wise, but the companion of fools, that's one of the references that I love so much, also from the Bible. He who walks with the wise grows wise. I like that particular one. He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. Oh my. So if you want to be wise, you've got to walk with the wise. Who do you identify as wise? And of course, we've given a definition of all of these things. Identify the wise people around you. Identify them, walk with them, associate with them. All of a sudden, it rubs off on you. Iron sharpens iron. Also, you've got to be humble about it. You've got to be humble about it. There's a part that says you've got to be a fool to be a wise person. You've got to be foolish to be wise. Because wisdom requires a certain level of humility. It takes a humble person to be wise. It takes a humble person to gain wisdom. It takes a humble person to have understanding. And of course, you can see that the most wise people are not proud. If you see anyone that is proud, they are not wise. Because to be wise means that you have to be humble, knowing fully well that you know not much as you ought to know, but you desire it and you're working towards that. And we can also see that from the place of study, learning, taking time to deep study, critically thinking about certain situations. Someone has given you an information, take time to sit down, critically analyze it, discern it, which one is better. As this person said something meaningful, discern it, sit down together. And I know that we currently live in a time where information is just everywhere, and some people are just following like gullible people. They've not been able to sit down to critically think and assess the situation and assess thoughts that makes them to discern which is actually the right one. And we also see here that you've got to share what you have, sharing your wisdom with others. The best form of learning is by teaching. When you've acquired a certain level of knowledge, when you teach it, you realize that there's something new that has been unlocked in you. You can see that you even understand it better when you share what you have. So I believe that all of these things are the things that you must have. Let's just go over them again. How to get wisdom. Like I said, you've got to desire it. You can get wisdom by association. He who walks with the wise grows wise, but he who walks with the fools, the companion of them, suffers harm. We've seen that you've got to be humble about it. You've got to be foolish about. You've got to be foolish enough to want to be wise. You've got to study, taking your time to training, and also sharing the wealth of your wisdom with others. And there's the last part to it also, giving reverence to God, giving reverence to the infinite. I know this is something deeper. It's like it's deep, and it will take time for someone to understand that when you reference the infinite power of God, the fear, that is the reverence of God, is the beginning of wisdom. When you know that there's a higher being, when you recognize that there's a higher being that controls the standards of things, it gets to a place when you are humble and you can acknowledge that indeed there's something and there are things that you don't know that you must learn and you must desire to know. And then from there, you get wisdom and you get wiser. So in all we do, get understanding. wisdom is supreme. You can have a fine face, you can have a fine body, but wisdom is still supreme. And at all cost, get wisdom. I want to say thank you for joining me today on The Charge. It's been a pleasure sharing what I have with you, and I hope that it will do you good. See you next time.